Have you ever caught yourself standing at the edge of a decision, paralyzed not by uncertainty, but by a relentless urge to do what's right, even when no one is watching? Imagine this. You wake up, feel the weight of expectation before your eyes have fully opened, and already you are measuring yourself against an invisible standard. Every word, every gesture, every fleeting thought must be pure, acceptable, good. It's as if you are both the actor and the judge in a play that never ends a performance for an audience you can't see, but whose applause or silence determines the worth of your soul. You try to be honest, generous, patient, kind. You swallow your irritation, curb your ambition, sacrifice what you want for what others need. And yet, as you move through your day, something gnaws at you. A low, persistent anxiety, a sense that you are not quite real, not quite whole, not quite you. Is it possible that, in the endless quest to be good, you are quietly betraying yourself? You tell yourself that you are strong, disciplined, compassionate. But at night, when the world goes silent, you feel the cracks in your mask. You wonder, who would I be if I let myself slip just for a moment? Would I become a monster, or would I finally be free? You hear echoes from childhood. Be good, don't disappoint, make us proud, and realize these voices are no longer outside you. They have become your own inner tyrant. Have you noticed how the world quietly rewards your goodness, but never seems satisfied by it? How approval is always just out of reach. You give more, strive harder, but the target moves, the rules shift, and the sense of being enough slips away like a dream upon waking. You find yourself envying those who seem careless, unburdened by conscience, who laugh loudly, speak bluntly, break rules with impunity. Are they selfish, or are they free in a way you've only dared to imagine? You start to see the paradox. The more you strive for goodness, the more you feel alienated from yourself. What if this craving to be good is not the highest virtue, but a subtle prison one with velvet walls and gilded bars? What if, beneath the desire to do right, there is a deeper fear, the terror of being unloved, rejected, or even of discovering who you truly are without the armor of virtue? What if your goodness is not just a moral compass, but a shield against chaos, a way to keep the world and yourself under control? And if that's true, whose life are you really living? Are you moving toward meaning, or just running from guilt? As you walk through crowded streets, sit in quiet rooms, scroll through endless feeds, you sense a contradiction at the heart of your being. The desire to be good versus the longing to be real. Which one is truly yours? You want to believe that you are free, but you wonder if, all along, you've been quietly shackling yourself with invisible chains forged from duty, fear, and the longing for approval. And so you find yourself at a crossroads, haunted by a question that will not leave you. Is there a hidden cost to always trying to be good? And if so, what is it taking from you every single day? You don't have the answer, not yet, but something stirs in you. A restlessness, a need to dig deeper, to peel back the layers and see what lies beneath the surface of goodness. The world has always told you what to be, but now you begin to wonder, who are you, really, when no one is telling you who you should be? And so, the real journey begins. What drives you to clutch so tightly to this image of goodness? Why does the desire to be good feel less like a free choice and more like an unbreakable commandment echoing through your mind? The roots of this dilemma run deep, far deeper than you might imagine, entwining themselves around your earliest memories, your quietest fears, the very formation of yourself. From your first moments in the world, you were taught to win approval by pleasing others. A smile, a nod, a gentle touch, these were rewards for conformity, for aligning with what was expected, not necessarily what was true. Even now, in adulthood, you sense how the gaze of others shapes your actions. as if you are being watched by a jury of invisible judges, their verdicts seeping into your bones. Carl Jung warned, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But how can you accept yourself when the blueprint of your worth has always been drawn by others' hands? You try to escape this verdict by striving, by outperforming, by sacrificing pieces of yourself on the altar of goodness. Yet the more you comply, the more distant you feel from your own center. Nietzsche whispers in your ear, "Morality is the herd instinct in the individual." You wonder, how much of your virtue is truly yours, and how much is borrowed from the crowd, a mask crafted to avoid the pain of being cast out? Society thrives on this dynamic. The rules are unwritten, but relentless rewarding obedience, punishing deviation. You sense that every group, every family, every institution demands its own flavor of goodness. Sometimes it's kindness, sometimes humility, sometimes strength, sometimes silent endurance. And so, you contort yourself, trimming away whatever doesn't fit. Over time, your identity becomes patchwork, a collage of other people's needs and expectations stitched onto the fragile fabric of your soul. Arthur Schopenhauer, whose shadow haunts this entire question, saw through the facade. He described life as a constant oscillation between pain and boredom. For him, the pursuit of goodness, especially when it's motivated by fear or guilt, becomes just another version of suffering, a way to delay facing the emptiness at the heart of existence. Are you acting from genuine compassion, or are you running from the terror of being judged, of being alone with yourself? And yet, it's not just philosophy. Psychology, too, unmasks the hidden machinery. You recall the lessons of Viktor Frankl, who argued that meaning cannot be handed down like a family heirloom. It must be forged through authentic experience, not blind obedience. When you are always trying to be good, are you creating meaning or just trying to fill the void where your true self might live? You notice how guilt becomes a constant companion, like a low-grade fever you carry everywhere. Jean-Paul Sartre would call this bad faith, the state of living inauthentically, pretending that you have no choice but to play the role you've been assigned. You are condemned to be free, Sartre said, but freedom can feel like a curse when every option is haunted by the fear of being seen as less than good. You feel the pressure mount in small ways too. The moments you suppress your anger to keep the peace, the times you deny your own needs to avoid disappointing someone you love, the quiet resentment that blooms when your efforts go unnoticed. Each sacrifice feels noble, but each leaves a scar, a small abandonment of your own truth. Even in solitude, you carry the gaze of others with you. Schopenhauer called it the fundamental illusion, believing that approval, acceptance, or being good will finally make you whole. But the more you chase it, the more elusive it becomes. Are you destined to spend your life chasing a mirage, mistaking the approval of others for a sense of self? Aldous Huxley once observed, "The deepest sin against the human mind is to believe things without evidence." And yet, you notice how much of your striving is built not on truth, but on inherited fears and unquestioned dogmas. You have become, in a sense, a ghost haunted by ideas that are not your own, living by rules that no longer serve you. So you stand at a threshold, sensing that this relentless quest for goodness is not a virtue, but a cage. You feel the tension growing, the suspicion that there is a darker side to all this striving, a hidden cost that seeps into your relationships, your happiness, your very sense of what it means to live. But what is that cost? What happens when you spend a lifetime trying to be good at the expense of being whole? A new urgency pulses in your chest, a hunger to uncover what lies beneath the surface, to see the unseen, to name the price you've been paying in silence. Because until you do, you suspect that goodness will remain not a gift, but a burden, a beautiful mask that conceals a secret wound. You are ready to dig deeper. And as the tension inside you sharpens to a point, you sense that the true consequences of your struggle are about to be revealed. You carry on, striving, perfecting, bending yourself into the shape the world expects of you. At first, it seems harmless, even noble. You imagine you're making the world softer, kinder, safer, but something subtle shifts beneath the surface. Like a river running underground, unseen currents shape the entire landscape of your life, silently eroding the foundations of who you are. What are the real consequences of always trying to be good? You start to notice the fractures small, almost invisible. A hesitation in your laughter, an unease in your friendships, a distance between who you are and who you show to the world. The philosopher Kierkegaard once wrote, "The most common form of despair is not being who you are." And now you see it. The deeper you sink into your role as the good one, the more you risk losing your authentic self. Cognitive biases weave their threads through your every thought. Confirmation bias, for example, lulls you into seeking only what reinforces your image of goodness, blinding you to your complexity. The halo effect tricks others and yourself into believing that if you're good in one domain, you must be good in all. Yet, the more you perform, the less you feel seen. The more you give, the more you sense that people love not you, but the mask you wear. Neuropsychology deepens the trap. Your brain, conditioned by years of reward and punishment, learns to anticipate the dopamine hit of approval and the sting of rejection. Even when alone, you replay conversations, reliving moments when you succeeded or failed at being good, as if your worth depends on an endless internal scoreboard. Over time, you begin to mistake your reflection in others' eyes for your true identity. Culture amplifies this effect. You scroll through feeds flooded with curated virtue acts of kindness, moments of mindfulness, lives lived for others. You feel compelled to keep up, to compete in a quiet contest of who can be the purest, the most selfless. And yet, the more you compare, the more hollow you become. Social mechanisms, traditions, and even language itself encourage you to split yourself into two, the public good and the private true. It is exhausting, isn't it, to live a double life beneath your own skin? And what does it cost you, this endless self-policing? Your relationships grow brittle, built on the fragile foundation of performance. You fear intimacy because intimacy requires truth. You avoid conflict because disagreement might shatter the illusion of goodness you have so carefully maintained. Over time, resentment festers toward others, toward yourself. You begin to sense that the world's applause is a poor substitute for connection. You are surrounded, but alone. Jean-Paul Sartre's words echo, "Hell is other people." But sometimes, hell is the version of yourself you create for other people. The self who smiles when you want to scream, who agrees when you long to protest, who sacrifices dreams for a peace that is only skin deep. You wonder, how much of your life have you lived for others, and how much have you denied yourself in the process? The consequences ripple outward. At work, you take on burdens that are not yours. With family, you become the peacemaker, the invisible glue, always responsible, always reliable. But inside, a silent rebellion grows. You long for wildness, for freedom, for the messy, unscripted truth of who you are. But every time you try to reach for it, guilt pulls you back. The cage is comfortable, but it is still a cage. Even your body feels the toll. Tension in your shoulders, shallow breath, a weariness that no sleep can cure. Psychologists call it the cost of emotional labor, the silent draining of energy required to maintain a facade. Over time, you risk burnout, depression, a deep and unshakable sense of being lost. And yet, the world keeps spinning, urging you to try harder, give more, be better. You fear what would happen if you stopped. Would people turn away? Would you become someone you no longer recognize, or perhaps someone you've been running from all along? You feel the urgency now, not just to understand this trap, but to escape it. The tension inside you is no longer quiet. It is a drumbeat in your chest, a whisper that grows louder. There must be another way. You sense that the only way out is through a reckoning with the cost you've paid and a willingness to ask the questions you've avoided for so long. What would happen if you stopped trying to be good all the time? Who would you become if you dared to step outside the lines? Are you ready to rebel not against others, but against the small, frightened version of yourself that has kept you safe, but never truly alive? You are on the edge of transformation. The breakthrough is near. But what if you did step outside the lines? What if you stopped measuring your worth by your ability to please, to fit in, to embody someone else's definition of good? The thought is terrifying and yet electrifying. Imagine it, you untethered from the need for constant approval. You allowed to be messy, contradictory, gloriously human. The first tremors of rebellion pulse beneath your skin. To break free, you must be willing to risk everything you've ever been praised for. You must let go of the illusion that goodness means safety, or that virtue guarantees love. This is not a gentle shift. It is a revolution within. As Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, you must become who you are. Not who the world needs, not who your family expects, not even who you think you should be, but who you are, at your core, when all the masks fall away. It starts with small acts of defiance. You say no when every part of you wants to say yes out of habit. You speak your truth even if your voice shakes. You admit to feelings you've long buried, envy, anger, ambition, desire, and discover that these are not flaws, but fuel for your authenticity. The world does not end when you stop performing. In fact, a new world begins. You learn to separate compassion from compliance. True kindness, you realize, is not about self-erasure. It is about showing up whole, meeting others from a place of integrity rather than fear. Viktor Frankl reminds you, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So you begin, slowly, to change not to become better, but to become more real. History is filled with those who broke the rules, and in doing so, changed what was possible for everyone. Think of Socrates, who questioned every assumption and paid with his life. Rosa Parks, whose refusal to move was an act of quiet thunder. Aldous Huxley, who dared to look behind the veil of social conditioning and urge others to wake up. Their rebellion was not rage, it was the courage to claim their own truth, to live outside the prison of approval. You start to see your own life as a series of choices, not obligations. Each moment is a canvas. Will you paint with borrowed colors or with the wild hues of your own soul? The counterintuitive truth emerges freedom does not mean the absence of responsibility. It means the courage to take responsibility for your own existence, to live by values you have chosen, not inherited. And so, you rewrite the script. You allow yourself to be misunderstood, even disliked. You let yourself disappoint those who expect you to play the same old part. The discomfort is real, but so is the exhilaration. You begin to build new boundaries, not as walls, but as invitations to authentic connection. For the first time, you taste the strange sweetness of being true. This is not a solitary path. As you rebel against the old order, you find kindred spirits, those who have dared to ask, as you are asking now, what if there's more to life than being good? Together, you forge a new community, built not on conformity, but on mutual respect for the messiness and majesty of human nature. You realize that your rebellion is not against goodness itself, but against its weaponization, against the way it's used to shrink you, silence you, keep you small. You refuse to be domesticated by your own ideals. Instead, you cultivate a wild integrity, a fierce self-acceptance. This is your forbidden truth. The self you feared is the self you must become. And as you begin to live this truth, something extraordinary happens. The fear that once ruled you fades. In its place blooms a quiet power, a sense of belonging to yourself. You are no longer at war with your own nature. You are no longer divided. The chains you wore were made of habit, not necessity. With every act of rebellion, you break another link. What awaits you beyond this point is something you cannot predict, a new reality, shaped not by others' expectations, but by your own daring. The time has come to reclaim your sovereignty, to become the author of your own life. The old world falls away. Ahead of you lies a horizon you have never seen. Are you ready to step into it? And then, on the other side of rebellion, in the stillness after the storm, you discover something unexpected. There is no choir singing your praises, no medals for the battles fought within. Instead, you find yourself in a silent clearing, face to face with the one companion who has always remained yourself. You have spent a lifetime running, pleasing, performing. Now, stripped of pretense, you see, the truth is not outside you. It never was. What you sought through the endless striving for goodness was not love from others, but reconciliation with your own existence. Arthur Schopenhauer, that fierce observer of the human soul, said, "Compassion is the basis of morality." But compassion, you realize, begins at home. To forgive yourself for your own complexity, for the anger, the longing, the failures, is to awaken to a wholeness that needs no external validation. A profound quiet descends. You look back and see the path you walked, each step a negotiation between fear and freedom, illusion and truth. The hidden cost of always trying to be good was not just exhaustion or resentment. It was the subtle death of your own aliveness, the sacrifice of your wildness, your contradictions, your realness. The mask of goodness protected you from pain, but also numbed you to joy. You realize now, you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be whole. The brokenness, the doubts, the hunger for meaning, these are not enemies to conquer, but parts of yourself to be honored, integrated, and loved. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star, Nietzsche wrote. And suddenly, you see that your chaos is not your shame, but your strength. It is the wellspring of creativity, courage, and deep connection. This is the ultimate paradox, the insight that liberates you. Only by letting go of the obsession with goodness do you discover a deeper morality, one rooted not in obedience, but in authenticity. The highest form of virtue is not self-denial, but self-understanding. You are not here to play a part, but to live a story only you can write. In this new world, goodness is not a cage, but a garden. You care for others not because you must, but because compassion flows naturally from your own sense of fullness. You say no when needed, yes when true, and discover the boundaries that once frightened you now protect what is most precious. You no longer fear your shadow, you recognize it as the birthplace of your light. Your struggles, your rebellions, your doubts have all brought you to this edge, the edge where the old story ends and a new one begins. You no longer ask, "Am I good enough?" Instead, you wonder, what is possible if I live without fear? The unfinished searching becomes your invitation to creation. You are no longer trapped in the stories others wrote for you. You are the author, the question, and the answer. Imagine the world you might help build if you are brave enough to remain unfinished, if you become a living question, a presence that invites others to be real. Jean-Paul Sartre reminds you, freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. You carry your scars, your memories, your inherited fears, but now they are the raw material for a new kind of life. So let yourself remain a mystery, even to yourself. Let your life be a conversation, not a conclusion. Walk into each day with the humility to change and the courage to stand alone. Call out to others, not as the perfect hero, but as a fellow traveler wounded, searching, awake. And as you turn to face the world, there is a strange, fierce peace in your chest. You understand now. The hidden cost of always trying to be good is the risk of never truly living. The real victory is not in being flawless, but in embracing the whole of your humanity. So step forward unfinished, questioning, alive. Leave room for surprise, for contradiction, for the unknown. For in that space, you discover not just who you are, but what it means to be free.